Welcome to Campfire Conspiracies, where the fire is warm but the stories send a chill down your spine.
Wait, did you hear that? Welcome to Campfire Conspiracies Season 2. I'm Summer.
I'm Samuel, and we're a podcast that talks about all things creepy, cryptic, and conspiracy related.
We talk about the paranormal, the macabre, and the mysterious. And we do it in a way that makes it a competition for the both of us, as well as the listener.
That's right. Each episode of each season, we take turns talking about two different stories of that episode's topic. And we leave it up to you, the listener, to decide who wins each round.
The loser at the end of the 6 rounds, so 6 episodes, has to do whatever predetermined punishment we set out at the start of the season. Last season, Sam won, so I had to dye my hair a horrible mixture of purple and blue. And let's just say it didn't go well.
That's right. This season, the loser will have to get a piercing wherever the winner tells them to. But that's not even the best part. One of us isn't the only one that will win. For every episode you vote on, you automatically get your name added into the prize draw to win a free shirt of your choice designed by yours truly that is related to one of the topics we've talked about in this season.
The more episodes you listen to, the more times you vote, the more chances you get of having your name pulled out of the hat. Just remember, you're limited to 1 vote per episode, so make your vote count.
Today we're talking about demons, but before we get into today's stories, let's talk a little about some news that's been making its way around the campfire. So, as of 12 hours ago, according to space.com, NASA's Mars 2020 rover Perseverance is a go for launch. Liftoff is scheduled for 7:50 a.m. Eastern Daylight Times on Thursday, July 30th. Exciting stuff. I think this will be the first rover to go up since they lost communication with the last one.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, really exciting stuff. Because Mars is a huge planet and they've still got so much that they haven't discovered. So yeah, that's exciting stuff.
Same could be said about Earth.
Although, if this year is anything to go on, I don't know that going and looking for alien life is what we want.
No, we'll definitely be looking at more the alien predator kind of.
Yeah. It's less E.T., more Ripley.
Yeah.
In other news, Virgin Galactic has unveiled photos and videos of their sleek interior of the Spaceship Two space liner. NASA has also announced astronauts to launch on SpaceX's Crew 2 Dragon in 2021. On July 27th, it was the anniversary of the 1962 first zero-G cosmonaut training on a Soviet jetliner. Here's something not space-related, but still just as interesting. A 93-year-old former Nazi guard was convicted in one of Germany's last Holocaust trials. Scientists have just figured out why an ancient Egyptian mummy that was frozen mid-scream 3,000 years ago was doing just that. Thanks to a new CT scan, researchers believe they've finally uncovered her cause of death and even some tragic mistakes in the mummification process that left her with her screaming face. So, let's get into today's topics. As I said, we're talking about demons, and Summer's going to take it away.
Demon possession is a highly controversial subject. There are those who believe that an evil spirit can possess your body, torturing you from within. Then there are those who look for a more medical explanation, such as epilepsy, schizophrenia, or psychosis. Today, I will tell you about the case of Danielle Harkins. I believe I know what occurred, but will you agree? Before 2012, Danielle had lived the American dream. A husband, a young boy and a girl, and a position as a teacher at the Lilman and Asian Neighborhood Family Center that she'd held for nearly 5 years. Her students liked her there, and it sounds like a perfect life. Unfortunately for Danielle, her marriage fell apart, ending in divorce after she had taken her husband to court over a domestic dispute. It may be as a result of this emotional turmoil. She looked for answers in religion. Growing a fascination for angels and demons. Her close neighbor of 4 years, Lisa Cope, said she was a shoulder to cry on during the divorce, and that later Danielle had taken an interest in extreme religious beliefs.
How extreme?
I'll get to that. She didn't know what to make of this extreme interest. Danielle had even assured her that she didn't have any demons inside her.
That's good. Wait, that Danielle didn't have demons, or that her neighbor didn't have demons?
That Lisa didn't have demons, okay. Yes. And that is kind of brings up something. So it makes you think about how many people she reassured, then how many people she told did have demons. And I do wonder if she herself believed she had demons, or her ex-husband, or even her children. I wonder this because of what happens next.
Can't exactly take your husband to court over. He's got demons.
You probably could, especially as this story comes from Florida, so I feel like that's their bread and butter. Danielle must have informed some of her previous students they were possessed. And on the Saturday evening of June 9th, 2012, Danielle encouraged 7 of her former students, now teenagers, to their local pier in St. Petersburg.
So she taught them as kids. And then after they...
she taught them literacy when they were kids. And now as teenagers, she invited them to local pier at St. Petersburg to perform a strange blood ritual involving a fire to cleanse them.
Did she tell them that they had demons when they were kids, or...?
It's assumed.
Yeah, so they would have been young and impressionable, and that's...
Oh, you mean... No, the assumption from co-workers and friends is that it was after the divorce.
Right, okay.
So, working there for nearly 5 years, they would have grown up a little bit, but yeah. Alrighty. This ritual would cast out demons lurking within them. It appeared to be a simple, if painfully scarring, ritual of cutting into the skin to release the demon, then cauterizing the wound to prevent the demon from re-entering the body.
Pretty cut and dry.
Ha ha ha. Not so much when you consider one of these teenagers received second-degree burns.
Cut and fry.
This is demon possession.
Sorry.
Tone. Little respect. One of these teenagers received second-degree burns after Danielle couldn't light her cigarette lighter to cauterize this wound. So, as a solution, she poured perfume over the wound as an accelerant and set it alight. This caused an intense flame, and obviously this poor teenager received these second-degree burns as a result. Another was cut with a broken bottle on their neck and cauterized this wound with a heated-up house key. Unfortunately, not much more is known about that night. Not many people have talked about it. St. Petersburg Police Department spokesperson Mike Pitts was quoted as saying, "There was apparently some chanting and then dancing around this fire that was taking place." Also later saying, "Obviously it's very strange. The motivations for this ritual are very unknown to us." None of these teenagers present informed authorities of what had happened, and since have remained quite tight-lipped.
They're little past snitches get stitches, aren't they? Because, they've already cut themselves and...
Yeah.
Might as well just give it up.
They appeared to show quite a lot of loyalty to their former teacher. It was only after a friend of one of these teenagers, upon hearing the story via text, told their parents. Then police were made aware of this right.
Do you reckon that friend only snitched because they weren't invited. It was like a FOMO
Jealousy thing.
Yeah, like a jealousy.
I have demons in me. Why couldn't I have this? Maybe.
It's like, why wasn't I invited to hang?
Maybe they were genuinely worried about their friend who now has a scar, a wound that might need medical care.
Yeah, maybe.
And is a little worried that their friend truly believed they were possessed by demons.
Aren't we all possessed by demons? I mean, not worried.
I mean, figurative demons, yes. Because of this, Danielle was arrested on 1 count of child abuse and 1 count of aggravated battery.
Only one?
Yes.
How many?
Remember, they're keeping pretty tight shut, like they're tight-lipped about the whole event.
So it must have been that one person...
That one person was the only evidence.
That
text message was probably the only evidence, yeah.
But there would have been a fair amount of students or ex-students, right? Like at least...
A handful. 7 were there that night.
Yeah.
As I said before, I would assume that she probably told a few more that they were possessed, and those were the ones that wanted to come and go through this ritual. None of the teenagers disclosed what happened that night. Danielle spent 6 months in jail for child abuse and then has since disappeared.
Wow.
And this was in 2014. This has left many questions about what brought her to conduct this blood ritual on the pier. Was this genuine concern or a desire to control something that she could after her life had spun out of control?
So we're talking, let's break down the timeline. 2012, she was newly divorced?
She was newly divorced, right. And on June 9th, 2012, that's when it happened.
When the attack happened, well, the ritual thing happened.
Yes.
And then...
I'm unsure how much later the friend received the text message and told his parents who told authorities,
But as of 2 years later, she's missing and gone into hiding.
Yeah. I don't know if she's missing, but gone into hiding. Yeah. I don't know if she even has access to her children anymore.
I would assume not.
Mm-hmm. Especially as it was, a messy divorce.
Yeah.
Possible domestic abuse.
Mm. And it's strange because the domestic abuse was filed against the husband, right?
That's why I ask, I wonder if she believed he had demons.
Yeah.
That was his reasoning for abusing her and hopefully not her children.
Mm.
But, I mean, hopefully not anyone, obviously. But I wonder, with all that going on and how much I know domestic violence has affected my childhood, my life, if she had gotten proper care, would this have happened? My concern is that Danielle was living with mental ill health, maybe not schizophrenia, maybe not psychosis, but that she was living with mental ill health after possible domestic violence. If not that, still a messy divorce, which is so emotionally traumatic. And maybe if she had found some professional help and therapy, she wouldn't have went down this road of religious cleansing, of possession. But I'll be devil's advocate and say I can also believe that on your darkest day, that would be when a demon would possess you. Mm. So she has went from, having it all, the American dream, to possible domestic abuse, to a traumatic divorce. That would definitely leave demons to be crawling up onto you, and maybe that you would just see it everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say that I get where she's coming from with the whole religious cleansing.
It's very hard to, It's
very hard to, but I kind of see why after everything went so bad with her, after she had the divorce, her perfect life got turned upside down, she turned to religion. Because a lot of people do that, and
And religion can be quite healing.
Yeah.
I just also genuinely believe, and spiritual help would have, I think, helped her too. I definitely don't want to say that professional help I talked of could have been professional spiritual guidance and help. I do not believe that is what she was receiving.
No. And like, I mean, I personally, growing up, was, raised in a religious household.
Yeah.
So I kind of did the opposite. When my life turned to shit, I stopped going to church. And I mean, I don't regret that, but I feel, maybe that's what's sort of responsible. Like that was my way of dealing with it. Like her way of dealing was to seek some sort of comfort in something else.
Yeah.
So I
something outside of the situation that would answer hopefully to her some questions she had.
Yeah. For
but
me,
then why bring in the former students? Why?
I don't know. Yeah.
Why involve them with this?
I suppose maybe, and I know it sounds weird to try to sympathize with evil and to try and get in the mind of evil. I don't know if she was
necessarily evil. Well, I think she was
damaged.
Well, I think she was going through a lot and she chose some wrong things to find comfort in.
Maybe.
I don't know if that makes her evil, though. I don't like what she did. I do agree that's child abuse. I do not get 6 months.
Maybe the reason she sought out the children was because, it's a reminder of something from when everything was great, when she had control of a situation.
That's what I think. I think it's a genuine concern to help that was just misguided or very misguided.
Twisted
or
and warped
it was
because
a
of
sense
her
of
own
control.
Personal demons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a really interesting story. But yeah, so that was your story?
So that's my story.
Cool.
Sam, so this is a story obviously on almost the other side of the world. Sam is a lot closer to home.
Mine is a lot closer to home.
Yeah.
About as close to me as you can get.
Yeah.
Like, physically.
It's a story about himself, okay, guys?
All right, so my topic my story isn't too long. It's just a few shorter stories in one. So again, my topic is on demons, specifically sleep demons, sleep paralysis, and their relation to epilepsy. If you've listened before, I am an epileptic. You would know that. And I've had numerous experiences with sleep demons while going through sleep paralysis. So sleep paralysis happens during waking up or falling asleep. The person suffering from it is aware of their surroundings, aware of everything that is happening, but is unable to move or speak. During a sleep paralysis episode, the affected may hallucinate, and this often results in fear. Hallucinations involving hearing, seeing, feeling, and even tasting things that aren't there. Sleep paralysis episodes happen. When they happen, they usually only last a few minutes at most, but that doesn't stop them from being scary, and you can have more than one at a time. You can have them recurring. The condition is known to occur in those who have narcolepsy, but there are other things that can trigger an episode, such as sleep deprivation, psychological stress, or abnormal sleep cycles. It can be as simple as a trait that runs in the family as a result of specific genetic changes. That being said, you don't have to be unhealthy to experience sleep paralysis. It's been said that as little as 8% and as much as 50% of people experience it at one point in their life. Studies show that a major reasoning for sleep paralysis is due to a dysfunction in the person's REM sleep. Throughout history, sleep paralysis was thought to be a mark of demonic possession.
I feel like even now, it's still... people still think about it as... evil spirits, demons.
It's still a taboo thing.
Yeah.
In folklore, it's referred to as the night hag. The way it is described in folklore is that a person feels a presence of a supernatural malevolent being, which renders those affected immobile, as if sitting on the chest. The night hag is just a generic term, though. Different cultures have different names. In Egypt, sleep paralysis is viewed as a terrifying jinn attack. In some cases, the jinn even kills its victims. This is said to be why some people fall asleep and don't wake up. In Cambodia, sleep paralysis is known as the ghost that pushes you down. Cambodians believe the ghost is a dangerous visitation from deceased relatives. In Italy, it is referred to as a pandefecce attack. This may refer to an evil witch, or sometimes a ghost-like spirit, or even a terrifying cat-like creature. In the US, sleep paralysis is oftentimes interpreted as an alien abduction. Now I want to talk about my own personal experiences. Though sleep paralysis and epilepsy aren't proven by science to be linked, I strongly believe that this is my reasoning for it. If not that, it may be a result of my fear of sleeping because of my night seizures that has caused me to be at times sleep deprived, which is, as mentioned before, a likely trigger. I've had many sleep paralysis episodes that have manifested in different ways. Oftentimes they're similar, with only the creature itself changing, but other times it has been different. Either way, they haunt me, and even though it's been over 18 months since my last seizure, and therefore the same amount of time has passed since my last encounter with a sleep demon, I find it hard to get to sleep at night. The two main ways the demon manifests itself is either as some kind of giant insect, or as some confusing version of myself, seeing myself through my own eyes or a reflection. So, my first run-in with a sleep paralysis demon came during the ending of one of my very first seizures, before I'd been diagnosed officially with epilepsy. I think it was my 4th or 5th. I'd had 7 seizures in total before I was diagnosed. For my first experience, my paralysis demon manifested itself as a giant wasp. I'm talking 8 feet long. I'd fallen asleep like I do every other night, and when I woke up in the morning at around 5 a.m., bussing for a piss, I found myself pinned to my bed, unable to move. I opened my eyes, and staring at me was a fucking wasp. Its stinger was embedded in my chest, paralyzing me, meaning I could only move my eyes and watch in horror as this giant insect went to town on my limbs, eating every inch of my arms and legs. I'm not ashamed to say that I bawled my eyes out. I tried to scream, but no eligible noise left my mouth, just an incoherent, dry groan. Somehow I woke up completely. I don't know if it's because I closed my eyes and willed the demon away, but I was awake and I could see my limbs again, but I couldn't move them properly and I still needed a piss. I managed to slowly roll myself onto my side, pinch my boxers and yank my right leg off the bed, and then do the same with my left. I tried to stand up and crumpled to the ground immediately. I reached for the doorknob, hoping that it would take my full weight as I used it to pull myself to my feet. I opened the door, took one stumbling step out into the hall, and slipped over. The fucking cat had knocked its water over again. Seconds away from pissing myself, I managed to crawl to the toilet. I felt like something out of The Walking Dead. I made it to the toilet and managed to get the door closed and my cheeks on the seat. I didn't trust my legs to not betray me again, and I let the piss drain out of me as relief flowed with it. The second incident was bad for different reasons. I was in my very early 20s, maybe 20 or 21, and it happened again in the early morning. I was staying at this girl's house who I'd only been seeing for a week, and this was the first night I was staying over, so it was a super big deal. I definitely didn't want to freak her out. So I laid there at the crack of dawn, eyes wide open, similar scenario, giant insect, paralyzed body, couldn't move. The insect this time was a fucking giant moth with glowing red eyes and a humanoid body. Now
Mothman.
This was before I even knew of Mothman, so there's no way my subconscious was like, hey buddy, maybe don't watch BuzzFeed Unsolved before bed. Mr. Moth Demon straddled my chest like a drunk, rowdy sorority girl and went to town on my limbs. Again, I tried to yell out. Unfortunately, nothing came out except a weak, intermittent groan. At this time, the girl I was seeing shook me and called out my name. You're not really supposed to shake someone who's having a seizure. Just roll them into the recovery position and let them ride it out. She didn't know that. It's not her fault. Anyway, so because she shook me, I pissed myself right there in her bed. She was cool about it, understood that I couldn't control it, but still super embarrassing.
Yeah.
There's been a couple more instances with insects in particular, one with a giant mosquito and another, surprisingly, with a butterfly. Still giant, still huge. I don't know why it was a butterfly, but...
What's that Simpsons quote? No one suspects the butterfly.
There you go. But each one was just as haunting and scary. These aren't the weirdest instances of sleep demons, though. The two weirdest ones for me are the two times where I've witnessed myself. That sounds like a strange concept, so I'll try and, I guess, explain it. It's kind of like an out-of-body experience, but at the same time not. It's incredibly difficult to describe the feeling, but the first time it happened was when I'd fallen asleep laying across an armchair. While sleeping, I must have rolled my head and hit it a little hard on the arm of the chair or something, because my body started seizing and I kicked a plate off of the coffee table. It made a loud crashing noise, but didn't shatter. At this point, I was already dreaming that I was watching myself through the neighbor's window. I could see both the reflection of myself on the window and myself walking around the room I was looking into. As the other me got closer to me, I punched the window and reached through, grabbing the other me by the throat and pulling me through. This was what brought me out of the seizure. The second of the two is actually the last time I've had a seizure, way back on January 6, 2019. Summer and I had been dating for almost 2 months, and she was coming over to meet my grandparents. I was absolutely nervous, spending the whole morning making sure the house was clean and looking as good as I could get it. I'd forgotten to take my morning dosage and didn't realize until around 2 or 3 p.m. when both Summer and my grandparents had left. It was too late to take them, but because I was so stressed I wasn't thinking straight and took them, then watched a movie, Captain America, I think. At some point, I'd fallen asleep and rolled over. I hit my head on the corner of the bedside table and brought on a seizure. At this point, I'd gone 162 days without a seizure, almost 6 months, and I was devastated. During my seizure, I was standing in the bathroom, staring at my reflection in the mirror. I started choking out, and with my eyes wide open, fixed on my reflection, I shoved my hand down my throat and pulled myself out of my own body, which caused me to wake up. I couldn't move at first. I was home alone, and this time I just let it all out. I shrieked at the top of my lungs until my throat was hoarse. I couldn't contain myself. I managed to move my hands and reach for my phone. I called Summer, but not being able to say anything, I couldn't tell her what had happened. I just groaned and moaned down the phone, sobbing at the same time. She knew immediately that something was wrong and came straight over and stayed with me until the late hours of the night, making sure I was okay. And that's the story of my sleep demons.
And now you make me cry. One of the things I will always reiterate is that whilst I don't believe it, I believe these people had these experiences. So hearing your stories, and obviously I have heard them before, I can understand why someone would feel possessed.
Yeah.
You know, especially before the medical information we have today, I can definitely appreciate people feeling like, yeah, they were haunted, they were possessed, and I hate that people have to go through something so scary so often.
Yeah. Like, I know that it wasn't a possession. I know that it wasn't a demon that was sitting on me, you know, stabbing me with with its own tail kind of thing, or what is it, a stinger. But it doesn't make it any less scary.
No.
I know it's just a hallucination in my brain. It's just my brain's way of piecing together what's actually happening and making sense of the situation that I'm in. And yeah, like I said, it doesn't make it any less scary. In fact, it kind of makes it scarier knowing that your brain is that powerful that it can come up with these
very
images,
powerful.
you know,
Yeah.
like I haven't, like there was no instance, I don't think there was any instance in my life where I've ever thought about like giant killer bees or giant wasps or anything like that. Like there's a R.L. Stein book that I've read, A Shocker on Shock Street, which is about like a giant ant or something, praying mantis or some shit. but it wasn't scary for me. You know,
Yeah.
like I read that book as a kid and I laughed at it. Like,
I think a lot of people, including myself, have went through sleep paralysis. It is freaking scary. It definitely feels real.
definitely. Like I
And
can atone for that. Like,
yeah, pulling yourself out of that, trying to, is torture.
Yeah. And I think the thing that scares me the most is, I've been seizure free for over 18 months now. But each time I relapse, and I don't want to use the term relapse because that's got such a negative connotation, but I can't think of another word. But each time I relapse and I have a seizure again, it's always worse than the last because of like the period of it's experiencing the first one over and over again because it's going so long without it. And I'm worried, like, you know, every day I'm like, yay, no seizure. But then I'm worried, you know, tomorrow I'll have a seizure. And what if it's the last seizure I ever have, you know, because they get worse every time. And it's not a demon, but it's like
personal demons.
It's a personal demon, you know, it's my body.
Yeah.
My body is giving up on me. Like, it's my body telling me like, haha, fuck you.
Truth is always stranger, more horrific than fiction.
Exactly. And part of me is like, fuck it, I'll take Mothman any day over this because like Mothman, I know I've got a fighting chance, you know. It's me fighting some other thing. It's not me fighting myself. I have to rely on a cocktail of medication that I have to take 2 times a day. If I forget it, then, you know, I risk the chance of not waking up in the morning. It's fucking scary. Like, and I wouldn't wish this on anybody. And honestly, like, I think the greatest thing about it is the fact that I have stories to tell to make my life sound more interesting than it actually is.
Oh, come on. No, don't do that.
But because, you know, it's like, it's something to tell kids. It's like, you know, when I was, you know, in my 20s, I wrestled a Mothman, like, and I
would like to say that. I mean, you know how I feel about the Mothman.
You can't. I wrestled a giant moth. I wrestled, you know, what did you do during 2020? Oh, you know, I killed a giant wasp.
Have you seen
one of those
the Doctor Who episode?
Maybe.
David Tennant era Agatha Christie episode.
Oh, then definitely, because I watched every day.
There was a massive bee in it, or was it a wasp? It was a wasp.
Oh, that may be
massive wasp.
That may be where I got it from. Then I don't know.
It does kill people.
See, the thing is, like, episodes like that never scared me. The Clockwork ones did. The Clock Face ones scared me. Do you remember that one? They were all like wearing like
the robots.
Yeah, and they had like the clocks.
Yeah.
For like the mechanical faces like glass. Yeah.
Thank you, Sam, for being brave and sharing those experiences.
It's fine.
That is season 2, episode 1 down.
Just wanted to say a quick thank you to those who voted last season. It really means a lot. It just makes what we're doing worthwhile. Also wanted to say congratulations to Josh D on Facebook. He was the winner of our last competition. So, Josh, you will be receiving a shirt in the post shortly. It will have been sent out by the time this episode goes live. Also, congratulations to Bodica Reincarnate. I hope I'm saying that right. You're also getting a free shirt because we promised you one a little while ago for mentioning us in a post that you posted on your personal Instagram and sharing our podcast with the world. So that's just a little thank you from us. Hope you guys enjoy your shirts. And please send us or tag us in pictures you take of them. We love knowing that people like our merch. Our merch is also available to purchase yourself through our Redbubble, which you will find a link to on our link tree in our Instagram bio.
Guys, obviously, please vote on any of our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you'd like, you can always email us too at campfireconspiraciespodcast@gmail.com.
Keep those campfires burning, guys. See you next time.